Every single Starborn power is incredibly fun to unlock and play with in Starfield. As you level them up and unlock more powerful versions of them, you can quickly become one of the most powerful beings in the universe. No faffing around, let's take a look at the base versions for every single power in the game, and then the strongest possible version of all of them. One of the most powerful Starborn powers you can unlock in Starfield is the Particle Beam. By itself, it serves as a pretty standard attack, useful on lower level enemies, but later in the game it kind of feels like you're just throwing pebbles at your opponents. When you reach level 10 of the Particle Beam, however, you'll notice that it does a lot more damage, taking out these UC security guards with ease. Something you'll quickly come to realize in Starfield is that stamina is gone and has been replaced by an oxygen gauge. This depletes as you run. I'm sure you're familiar with the mechanic, but the personal atmosphere power will be your best friend here, recovering your O2 and CO2 levels, giving you what is essentially unlimited stamina for around 15 seconds. When you reach the max level, those measly 15 seconds get boosted all the way up to around 40 seconds of unlimited runtime. As a little bonus, your Starborn power bar will fully recover by the time your personal atmosphere runs out at level 10, so just use the power again and you'll pretty much have unlimited sprinting in the game. Phased time is by far one of the most incredible and game-breaking powers you can unlock in Starfield. At the lowest level, you can slow down time for 10 seconds, giving you a chance to go full-on Matrix and sprinkle your enemies with bullets. But if you think that's overpowered, get ready for double the bullet time with 20 seconds of slowed down time to eliminate everything in your path. Yet again, by the time this one runs out, your Starborn power bar will be refilled, so you can pretty much just become invincible. Being able to predict the future is a remarkable ability, even if Starfield doesn't let me buy lottery tickets in the process. But the Precognition power is incredibly fun nonetheless, being able to see the path of any NPC in the game and the results of pretty much any conversation with them. As far as I can tell, getting this power to the maximum level doesn't really offer any benefits, maybe a slightly larger radius, but nothing worth grinding for. Being able to avoid NPCs is great and all, but defense is even better. The Reactive Shield power lets you negate some damage while also ricocheting bullets back at your opponents. The base version lasts 15 seconds but still lets in quite a bit of damage. The highest level of the Reactive Shield still lasts 15 seconds, which is longer than me in the bedroom, but actually seems to protect you a lot more while having a higher chance to reflect bullets. If I had this level of protection in real life, I probably wouldn't have 3 kids by now. Speaking of being cautious, the Sense Star Stuff ability, incredible name choice by the way, very hard to pronounce, lets you track all living creatures near you, even if they're behind a wall. This one is great for stealth missions and pretty much all of the Reunion quests. The first version you unlock only lasts 10 seconds, while the upgraded version lasts for 25. Have fun sneaking around, you little ninja. One power I expected to be great in Starfield was the Solar Flare. It sounds awesome. You literally send a ball of solar energy at the enemy, but that just makes a little shotgun noise and does a tiny bit of damage. And unfortunately, the maxed out version isn't much better either, still taking 3 hits to take out this level 12 guard. The regen is a little bit better on it though, so that's something, I suppose. There's also an ice version of that offensive power in the form of Sunless Space. There's so many S's in all of these names. Sunless Space. This one again does do a pretty small amount of damage, but it does freeze enemies solid for around 10 seconds. As you level it up, the freezing effect doubles in length, lasting 20 seconds, and I think the hit radius gets a bit bigger as well. Someone let me know in the comments whether or not I'm wrong about that. By far, one of the most vicious Starborn powers is Supernova. At the lowest level, it can eliminate huge crowds of NPCs at once, while also dropping the health of all of these Neon City guards by around 75%. And the damage only gets better when you max out the power, being able to one-hit pretty much any low to mid enemy in the game. This thing combined with the phase time ability is all you need to become a literal god in Starfield. It's time for us all to become ninjas with the help of the Void Form ability. Stealth is by far one of my favorite mechanics in the game, and the ability to become completely invisible for 20 seconds makes it so much more fun. What's even better is when you level the Void Form ability to level 10, I think the number shoots all the way up to around 45 seconds. It's super fun until it wears off and you get caught red-handed, that is. One of the most underutilized powers, however, is the Eternal Harvest ability. Flora resources are incredible in Starfield, and and with just one tap, you can replenish every single flower, leaf, and bush within a certain radius, being able to go around and collect them all once again. As you level this one up, the maximum radius increases, meaning more plants for you to harvest, or reharvest actually. A wonderful little nod from Skyrim has made its way to Starfield in the form of the Gravity Dash ability. When you first unlock it, it doesn't take you very far, but as you power it up, it can quickly become an incredibly fun and fast way to traverse the many planets of Starfield. One thing that broke my tiny little black heart in Starfield was that they teased us with the Gravity Wave ability, making us think that we were getting a full-on Fusroda in the game, and then when you use it, yeah. And it doesn't get any better when you level it up, it just looks like they're slipping on a banana. Anyway, on to the next one. Ignore the outfit, it was a bit of a weird day. Anyway, next up on my list of superpowers is the Gravity Well ability, which starts off as a really cool power that pulls all of your enemies into one place and does about as much damage as a solar flare or a Sunless Space. But as you level it up, it does pretty much the same damage, just a slightly larger radius. Still looks cool though. All of these dodgy abilities are making me want to unleash my inner demon. Get it? Because that's the name of the... Anyway, this one lets you create a duplicate of pretty much any enemy in the game, human or otherwise, and have them fight on your team. The base version only seems to last 15 seconds, while the maxed out one stays alive for what feels like an eternity. A whole minute. Yeah, I know. Give my wife some pity. 1 minute is a long time for me. Do you guys ever feel like watching the Twilight movies? Nah, me neither. But you can suck the life out of something another way, using the Life Forced ability. It does exactly what you'd expect it to do and steals life from your enemies and gives it to you. At its lowest level, it will steal a small amount of HP for around 15 seconds, while its fully upgraded version will still last 15 seconds but recover way more health. I'm not gonna do the math to figure out how much, my brain is way too small and late in the evening, so I'll leave it up to you smart cookies in the comments section. Speaking of Twilight, you know how all the vampires had like sparkly, rock-hard skin? Not that I would know because it's a dumb movie, whatever, who cares, hashtag Team Jacob. Well, you can actually achieve something similar using the Moon Form ability in Starfield, making you as impenetrable as my wife for 10 seconds at its base level and 30 seconds when it's maxed out. You can still use weapons while frozen, and you actually heal HP while pretending to be a statue. The Parallel Self ability is pretty self-explanatory, summoning a version of yourself from another universe, ironically wearing the same armor and wielding the same weapons, but this ability can be incredibly powerful if you have some high level gear, as your twin can stick around for around 30 seconds using the lowest level ability and a whopping 2 minutes once you've maxed it out. And of course, like some of the other abilities, your Starborn Power Bar will regenerate fully by the time this one runs out, so you can just constantly cast it whenever you're feeling lonely. We've all seen the anti-gravity field ability in Starfield. It's been in the trailers, and it's the first ability we unlock during the main story. Using it sends these poor helpless souls floating into the sky for around 10 seconds. The level 10 version lasts the same amount of time, but opens up that field so you can grab yourself a few extra victims. But it's got nothing on the Create Vacuum ability, and no, it doesn't summon a little Dyson in front of you as much as my OCD would appreciate that. Instead, it creates an adorable bubble of death, sucking the oxygen out of your enemies for 15 seconds and dealing some decent damage. The most powerful version of this super sucker does far more damage and has an even wider radius. It's like the Mia Khalifa of Starfield. If you're not really into the force choking ability, because you know it is a bit of a niche kink, feel free to grab yourself the Creator's Peace power and pacify all enemies around you. This one lasts for around 10 seconds when you first unlock it, and still 10 seconds when you spend hours leveling it up. I don't actually know how this one improves, so let's try and figure this one out in the comments section together. I'd love to say that I use this one for peace and prosperity and tranquility, but nah, I like grabbing all the guns that get thrown on the floor. Earthbound is an incredible ability, particularly somebody who isn't overly keen on all of the zero gravity areas in the game. When you use this Starborn power, you'll summon a field of gravity simulating that of Earth, bringing you back down to the ground where you can feel safe again. The base version of this one lasts 10 seconds, while the maxed out version lasts a whole minute. The Elemental Pull ability, much like the Eternal Harvest one, is essential for resource collectors. Using it breaks all minerals in your vicinity, saving you from lugging around a big heavy cutter. What I find awesome is how much loot you can actually gather with this. This is the loot you get with the base version. It's pretty limited and exactly what you would expect. Then, when you spend a while getting the ability to level 10, here's all the loot you collect now, using the exact same minerals. Not only is this an awesome way to gather resources, but it's an incredible way of making money early in the game. The final Starborn power we get to experience today is Alien Reanimation. I have 3 cookies for anyone who can guess what this bad boy does. Yep, it resurrects dead enemies. It's cool in theory, but I don't think I've ever been close enough to a super deadly enemy to want to resurrect them and then take them to a base. It just, who cares? I'm a necrophiliac now. Wait, is that the right word, or is it necromancer? God damn it. Anyway, this one lasts for 20 seconds on the low end and 2 minutes on the high end. After you've hit the subscribe button, if you fancy becoming even more of a superhero in Starfield, go and check out my list of 15 incredible things that Starfield doesn't teach you, or become the in-universe version of Batman by grabbing the Mantis outfit super early in the game. Thank you as always for watching, I love your faces, and I'll catch you in the next one.